If you want to know the truth about Tesco own brand products, do not ask the marketing team that designed the packaging. Ask the food technologists who formulate the recipes. Ask the quality auditors who visit the third-party factories where these products are actually manufactured. Ask the Tesco employees who stock the shelves at 4 in the morning and know exactly which products they would never put in their own trolley. Because behind the clean blue stripe and the reassuring words like farm assured and carefully selected, there is a tier system designed to extract maximum profit from your weekly shop. Tesco does not make its own food. It contracts factories to produce products at a target price point. And when that target price drops, the factory does not absorb the loss. It reformulates, it substitutes, it finds the cheapest possible way to fill a packet that still technically matches the description on the front label. Today, we are opening the Blacklist. These are the 5 specific Tesco own brand products that independent food analysts, nutrition researchers, and industry insiders say you should never put in your trolley. Not because they will poison you overnight, but because they represent the most aggressive gap between what the packaging promises and what the ingredient list delivers. Number 1 on the Blacklist, Tesco own brand sliced ham. Walk into the deli aisle and pick up a packet of Tesco Everyday Value or Standard own brand sliced ham. Look at the front. You see a photograph of pink, glistening, freshly sliced ham. It looks like something carved off a roast at a Sunday lunch. Now flip it over and read the ingredients. What you are holding is not carved ham. It is reformed meat. The industry term is formed from pieces of pork. That means they take various scraps and trimmings from the pig, grind them into a paste, mix them with water, salt, dextrose, stabilizers like triphosphates and polyphosphates, and then press the slurry into a mold that shapes it to look like a single cut of meat. The polyphosphates are the key to the deception. They are chemical water retention agents. They force the meat to absorb and hold water far beyond its natural capacity. This is not seasoning. This is inflation. You are paying ham prices for water that has been chemically locked inside cheap meat scraps. A premium ham from a butcher contains roughly 95% pork. Some of these budget own brand sliced hams contain as little as 70% pork. The remaining 30% is water, starch, and chemistry. But the photograph on the front does not show a pressed block of meat slurry. It shows a beautiful, hand-carved slice. The image tells one story. The ingredients list tells a completely different one. Number 2, Tesco own brand white bread, the softest, cheapest loaf on the shelf. It costs less than £1 and lasts for days without going stale. That should be your first warning. Real bread made from flour, water, yeast, and salt goes stale within 48 hours. That is what bread does. It is a biological product, and biology has a clock. When a loaf sits on your kitchen counter for 5 days and still feels soft, that is not freshness. That is engineering. The Tesco own brand white loaf is produced using a method called the Chorleywood bread process. It was invented in 1961 specifically to make bread faster and cheaper. Instead of a long, slow fermentation that develops flavor and breaks down the proteins in wheat, the Chorleywood process uses intense, high-speed mechanical mixing, extra yeast, added fat, and a cocktail of processing aids to produce a loaf from raw flour to plastic wrapper in under 3 hours. The dough is beaten so violently that it develops an artificial structure without needing time to ferment naturally. To keep it soft for days, manufacturers add emulsifiers, enzyme treatments, and preservatives. The label might say flour, water, yeast, salt, and vegetable oil. But the processing aids, the enzymes that were active during manufacture but are technically no longer present in the final product, do not have to be listed on the label. This is one of the most elegant loopholes in British food law. If an additive is classified as a processing aid rather than an ingredient, it vanishes from the label. The bread contains the consequences of those chemicals, but not the disclosure. You are eating a product of industrial chemistry that is legally allowed to call itself bread. Number 3, Tesco own brand ready meals. Specifically, the standard and budget tier lasagnas, curries, and cottage pies that fill the chilled aisle. Pick up a Tesco cottage pie and read the back. The meat content is the first crime. A homemade cottage pie is roughly 50 to 60% minced beef by weight. A budget own brand version often contains as little as 15 to 20% meat. The rest is water, potato starch, modified maize starch, flavorings, onion powder, yeast extract, and color. The yeast extract is doing a specific job. It is a cheap source of free glutamates, the same flavor-enhancing compounds found in monosodium glutamate. But because it is derived from yeast, they do not have to write MSG on the label. They write yeast extract instead. It sounds wholesome, like something from a brewery. It is functionally identical in its purpose. It is there to make a watery, meat-deficient product taste meatier than it is. The modified starches are doing the second job. They thicken the water into a gravy-like consistency so that when you pierce the film and look inside, you see something that resembles a home-cooked meal. You do not see what it actually is, which is a small amount of low-grade mince suspended in a thick, flavored starch-based gel. They are not selling you a meal. They are selling you a texture and a flavor profile that mimics a meal at a fraction of the ingredient cost. Number 4, Tesco own brand orange juice from concentrate. This one hides behind the most trusted health halo in the supermarket. Orange juice, vitamins, freshness, sunshine in a carton. But the words from concentrate on the Tesco own brand version tell a story that the cheerful orange photograph on the front would rather you did not hear. Here is how concentrate works. Oranges are harvested in bulk, usually in Brazil or Florida. The juice is squeezed, then heated to evaporate the water. What remains is a thick, dense syrup. That syrup is shipped across the ocean in massive frozen drums because removing the water makes it cheaper to transport. When it arrives at a factory in Britain, they add water back in. They reconstitute it. But here is the problem. The heating process that creates the concentrate destroys volatile flavor compounds and degrades the vitamin content. The juice that comes out of the reconstitution process tastes flat and thin compared to freshly squeezed juice. So what do? The industry uses flavor packs. These are carefully engineered mixtures of orange-derived compounds, essential oils, and aromatic chemicals designed to make the reconstituted juice taste like fresh oranges again. These flavor packs are classified as derived from oranges, which means they do not appear as a separate line on the ingredients list. The label simply reads orange juice from concentrate. It does not say reconstituted from a frozen syrup shipped from another continent with the flavor artificially rebuilt in a British factory. You think you are buying squeezed oranges. You are buying rehydrated industrial syrup with a chemical flavor mask. Number 5. Tesco own brand grated cheese, specifically the bags of pre-grated cheddar and mozzarella that sit in the chilled aisle. They are convenient. You tear the bag open, sprinkle the cheese on your pasta, and throw it under the grill. No grating, no mess, no effort. But there is a reason that pre-grated cheese never clumps together in the bag the way freshly grated cheese clumps on your kitchen counter. The bag contains an anti-caking agent, almost always potato starch or cellulose. Cellulose is the one that should concern you. It is a powder derived from wood pulp, processed plant fiber ground into a fine dust and coated onto every strand of grated cheese to prevent the pieces from sticking together. It is classified as food safe and it is legal, but you are paying cheese prices for a product that is part cheese and part wood powder. The typical concentration is between 2 and 4% of the bag by weight. That does not sound like much until you realize you are paying 5 pounds per kilogram for a product that contains up to 40 grams per kilogram of something that is not cheese. And the cellulose does something else. It absorbs moisture. When you melt pre-grated cheese, it behaves differently from freshly grated cheese. It does not melt into that smooth, stretchy, glossy pool you expect. It melts into a grainy, slightly dry layer because the cellulose is absorbing the fat and moisture that would normally create that texture. You are paying a premium for convenience that actively makes the product perform worse. A block of Tesco cheddar costs less per kilogram than the pre-graded bag, contains no cellulose, and melts properly. The only thing the bag saves you is 30 seconds of effort, and for those 30 seconds, you accept wood pulp in your dinner. Here's the verdict. Tesco is not a charity. It is a publicly traded corporation with a legal obligation to maximize shareholder returns. Every product on that shelf has been engineered to hit a price point, and the casualties of that engineering are always the same. Real meat is replaced with water and phosphates. Real fermentation is replaced with mechanical violence and hidden enzymes. Real flavor is replaced with yeast extract and chemical aroma packs. Real cheese is diluted with wood fiber. None of this is illegal. All of it is disclosed technically in text so small and language so clinical that no ordinary shopper would ever decode it under the fluorescent lights of a Wednesday evening grocery run. Your only weapon is the same weapon it has always been. Turn the packet over. Ignore the photograph. Ignore the farm name. Ignore the green leaf logo. Read the ingredients list. If the list is longer than your thumb, put it back on the shelf. If you cannot pronounce half the words, put it back on the shelf. If the meat percentage is below 80 and the water percentage is above 10, you are not buying food. You are buying a food-shaped product designed to fill a gap in your fridge at the lowest possible cost to the manufacturer and the highest possible price to you. Stop trusting the front of the packet. The front is advertising, the back is the truth. If you want to know which supermarket products have been quietly reformulated with cheaper ingredients this year, watch the next one.